This is Duke University.
We now are going to transition to hearing our commencement speaker, and it is with enormous happiness that I present to you Pakpoom Vallisuta. Pakpoom is the chairman and founder of the Quant Group, which is an investment bank that's located in Southeast Asia. And he has had a fascinating career that I think was unpredictable in many ways, where he started as a drilling engineer and then moved into the world of financial services, eventually became the head of investment banking Asia Pacific for Nomura before founding the Quant Group. Now, when you pick a commencement speaker, you're looking for someone who has had significant accomplishment. And just by telling you what he's done, you know he's someone of significant accomplishment. But you want more than someone of accomplishment. You want someone who has relevant experience, who has wisdom, who has insight, and above all, can serve as a role model for the graduates in terms of their thinking about what comes next for them. In that regard, what's really nice is if you have a commencement speaker who knows the significance of what you've experienced and the significance of what you yet have to accomplish. And Pakpoom has been in your shoes. He is a graduate of the Global Program from 1998, and by the way, he founded the Quant Group in 1998. So he understands the significance of this time in your lives. And he is also just a wonderful human being. And so, in my opinion, a fantastic role model. We're thrilled to have him. Without further ado, Pakpoom.
Thank you, Bill. And when you do find that person, I'd like to meet him too. Good morning, the graduating class of 2013, family members, relatives, Dean Bill Boulding, distinguished faculty and professors. You can probably tell that I've never done this before. Before I came out here, it all started when Bill was in Bangkok about 4 months ago, and we were riding in a car together. And we were going to see prospective donors and clients and so on. And Bill said to me in the car, he says, "I have too big ass." And I said, "So what, Bill?" And that's ass with a K. And then Bill purported to go with the first ask. He says, "Could I ride to the next meeting with you?" And I said, "Of course." And he says, "Well, the second big ask is, would you come and do this commencement speech in North Carolina today?" So here I am. I panicked a little bit, and I think I must have said, "I'm sorry." I think I kind of said yes unwittingly to both of those questions. And subsequently, I have this ritual dinner with my sister and her family every Saturday. She's a little bit like my mother. She's 5 years older than I am. And so we were having dinner, and I told her, I said, I might have unwittingly said yes to what Bill had asked me to do. I've never done this before. And she said, "What were you thinking? I mean, how are you going to get through this? You're going to drag the whole family down now." And I'm glad I'm not using the same family name. And then she says, you are really going to go out there and embarrass yourself. And then it dawned on me. I thought, wow, go out there, speak incoherently, and embarrass myself, I could do that. I do that all the time. So I've been preparing a little bit before I came out here. And in the preparation for the speech, I thought back to the time when I was standing amongst you and waiting to receive my own diploma. It was in this very same room. And there was a gentleman standing up here speaking about something that I have no clue and recollection of what he said. I think I remember only 3 words. He says it was AT&T, Sprint, and President. And the rest is a blur. I don't remember what he said. So I did a little bit more research, and I asked a close friend of mine who has his 2 children graduating this year from UPenn and Harvard. And his daughter was graduating from UPenn in School of Architecture. So I said, could I go? Could I go and listen? So I did 2 separate trips from Bangkok, first to Philadelphia in the sort of first, second week of May, if I remember correctly. And there were 2 speakers. The first day was a gentleman who spoke about his life and his own experience as a chairman and prior CEO of this big pharmaceutical company. And the second speaker was Vice President Joe Biden, but I thought I could hear him speak all the time, so I just attended the first one. And, and he spoke very eloquently. He was very warm, and he spoke pretty much about himself. And it was great. I thought it was a great speech. And he, right afterwards, after the graduation, my friend's daughter ran over and met her family, and I was standing there. And I think she senses the most immature person in the crowd, so she turned around to me and she said, hello, this is our day. It's supposed to be about us. It's not about you. Why don't you speak about us? And she said it in a jocular way. She wasn't angry or anything like that. She speaks as if any 22-year-olds would speak sometimes. And so I thought about that, and I thought, coming out here today, it is about you. So therefore, I do want to speak mostly about you. So I did, anecdotally, I did make the second trip to Boston to my friend's son who graduated from Harvard, same friend. But I didn't make it to any of those speeches. We ended up at P.F. Chang's in a corner of Boylston Street. I don't know why. So I didn't do much research coming out here. Sorry, my hairstyle. Sorry. In the past 30 years of my working life, through experience of recruiting and coaching younger colleagues, I noticed that highly motivated people are separated into 2 groups, mountain climbers and explorers. I didn't invent this, by the way. I read it somewhere. It's hard to be original these days. But I do believe that it's very true. And with mountain climbers, they are highly motivated people. They tend to point to the top of the mountain, and they say they want to climb up that mountain, and they're going to find a way of doing it. They research it, they get fit, they prepare for it, they get their gears, they go to base camp, and finally they climb it. But they can always see their goals, and somehow they find their ways of getting there, and getting there fast. These are extremely highly motivated people. The other lot, the other group, the explorers, and I think whether I like it or not, I fall into this camp. I'm not a mountain climber, but before that, allow me to momentarily break my friend's daughter's rule and talk about myself for just a minute. It's not a self-indulgence. It's more like an embarrassment. But I just want to tell you a story that you might relate to. When I first started Gemba back in 1996, before we took any class, we were asked to take these tests called the Hofstadter test. I don't know whether you still do that. But essentially what a Hofstadter test does is ask you a lot of questions and you don't know where they're going with it, so you can't manipulate the answers. And so, for example, you can't try to answer it so that you end up as chairman or Superman or Spider-Man or what it is that you aspire to be. And then they take these test scores, they plot it out, and it comes into these quadrants. And then there are these dots all over the place from the class. And somebody is pointed out as a CFO. Somebody else is pointed out as a technologist, or somebody is pointed out as a corporate lawyer. And there were a few dots that kind of is around the CEO. And then they point out there's a few guys there who are CEO materials. And right before us, our destinies are laid out that you're going to be a CEO, this, and that. There's still a few spots left from that CEO position. And I was hoping that it would be me. So I was waiting for it. And then it came to what I thought might be my turn. There was the last few spots left. And there is this dot. It's the leftmost dot of the quadrant. Unhedged is right out there. Nobody's out there. And to any untrained eyes, people will recognize it straight away as a risk-taking guy. And then it was revealed. It says, Pakpoom, it's you. You're a gambler. And that was very embarrassing. I never thought of myself that way. But I guess, explorers, a little bit like mountain climbers, I think we prepare just as hard. We research just as hard. Except we do things differently. And I think the approach that I've taken in life, and I think explorers take in life, is that instead of just doing what mountain climbers do, we tend to look at trying to tool ourselves and trying to find that big Swiss knife that can give us the different tools where we can go and dig things, cut things, clip things, snip things, fry things, double boil things, whatever it is that you do. But we don't know what we're going to find out there. It's a journey. And we're always just searching and very interested to find whatever else is out there. And I fall categorically in that area. And that's part of the reason why I left the firm, left Nomura to found the Quant Group. I wasn't quite sure where I was going with it, but that's what I did. I tell my colleagues that you have to, early on in life, try to find yourself whether you are a mountain climber or an explorer, because that helps you deal with the fabric of materials that you will be dealing with as you progress in those two very, very different paths. Prior to coming out here, on Thursday, I flew in from Bangkok, and I landed in Los Angeles. I had the half day before I flew out to North Carolina on the following day. So I took a car out to Altadena to visit Professor Richard Feynman's grave, the Mountain View Cemetery. For those of you who don't know Richard Feynman, he was a professor of theoretical physics. He's considered one of the two guys, with the other guy being Murray Gell-Mann, who's still alive at Santa Fe Institute, but they were both at Caltech, to have taken on the torch of genius from Albert Einstein. So I respect him a lot. I've never met him, but I've read every single one of his books. And in one of the books, he spoke about trying to enlist himself in the military, and he failed the psychiatric test. And much of that is because he was horsing around. One of the questions that the psychiatrist had posed to him was that, how do you value life? And he said 64. And so the psychiatrist says, why did you say 64? Why didn't you say, for example, 73? And he said, well, if I had said 73, you would have asked me the same question. So by just horsing around, he failed the psychiatric test, and he never got into the military. And then I thought about that. I thought about how do we value life? And part of the economics function, and in economics, it's always about scarcity. It's also about trade-off, that you get something and you have to give up something else. And the economics function of life, to me, is a lot like, it's really about balancing whether you want to eat well versus sleep well. And there's always a perfect trade-off. You want to eat well, you have to sleep less. Metaphorically speaking, sometimes literally speaking. Unless your parents have stored that up for you, then that's a different matter. But otherwise, economics function of life pretty much falls in that. So I think part of the shortcoming of modern society is that the accounting of eat well side focuses on the net worth of people. And I saw a Jeep advertisement. Jeep is in the car, the CBR, way back, but I thought it was very profound. It said, "Never confuse your net worth with your self-worth." And I thought about that, and I feel that in society, we tend to go around with one single ruler measuring people's net worth and seeing how successful they are, while we should be having multiple rulers and measuring other people's successes in other areas like generosity, humor, musical talents, sportsmanship. And I think it's just much more fulfilling that way if society could do that and shift that focus and look at successes, having multiple rulers of measuring one's success in life. As representative of Duke University, as you are now, the school and I wish our very best in your journeys to climb those mountains or explore. So very best of luck with your endeavors. Thank you.
So before you get too far away, Pakpoom, I would like to give you a gift on behalf of the entire community. And I'd also like to say that in my opinion, Pakpoom is one of those individuals who defies the notion of trade-offs. That he is someone who, as you use every kind of measuring stick that you can imagine, that he comes out as a real giant. And despite the fact that he is so accomplished, that he gives back in so many different ways, he is just extraordinarily humble and, as I said, a wonderful human being. So many thanks to you.